So yeah, I didn't go on the website and get the list until I got home. It was like, oh, okay, I could have gone to this one, and that was not smart on my part. And I missed a couple too because we got there later than we had planned. But I noticed the Dan Hinckley one was jammed. So
Well, there was standing room.
yeah, yeah,
It
exactly.
was pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to see if I can share my. Where do I want to go? It's not going. Okay, help me here, Kelly.
So do you see on your taskbar down below, your Zoom taskbar, you should have a share screen, should be in bright luminous green.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay, so click on that button.
Yeah, and it
and then you
comes
should
up.
see all the windows that are open. You should see all the windows that are open on your computer.
Okay, so I've got Microsoft Edge, I've got window, and I've got entire screen.
And what do you want to share?
I want to share my PowerPoint.
Then you don't have your PowerPoint open.
I've got to open it. Okay.
And by the way, this is something I really recommend, is that, if you guys aren't using two screens, I really recommend, just because, I know everybody's sitting here with your little laptop, right? Your little 14-inch, 15-inch, 16-inch or something like that. But I tell you, it makes a world of difference when you have another screen to look at,
Yeah.
So as I turn this thing around, right? So
it says I'm screen sharing, but I'm not screen sharing the right thing.
You are coming. It's coming. I can see it's telling us it's coming. Now you're sharing the Zoom screen, which is
yeah, which I don't want to do.
Okay, now you're sharing all the screens there. So go to a new share.
Okay.
And now
I'm not coming up with it. Ha, here it is. Now can you see that?
Now we can see it.
Lovely.
Now to be sure, right, we're seeing your PowerPoint deck. We're not seeing slideshow, but that's okay. Did you want to share a slideshow? Did you want to share the just the deck and walk through each of the slides in the deck?
I can share the deck.
Okay.
And what I'd like is for each of you now, and you're here to learn. I understand that, Kelly. But if each of you would share what blogs or podcasts you use, because some of us don't, or some of us just have one or two. And it'd be interesting to know what everybody does. So who would like to start off? Garnet? How about you?
I had to get unmuted. So basically the only two I use is Joe Apple's podcast. And sometimes it's really point on and it's excellent, and other times it's interesting information, but it's not something I put down that I have done education on, because it's not, I don't think, quite pertinent. The other I use is the Northwest Horticultural Society, their webinars. And those are not free. If you join the society, which I think is only $25 per year, then you can attend them for $10 a thing, a webinar, or you can attend at $15 if you aren't a member. And I have found some of those, again, really helpful, and some of them just fun information.
Yeah, I
don't bother to sign up for.
I kind of like the idea of some of them that have, I mean, sometimes you just want a little mental relief or something. So ones that have pretty pictures or
Right.
just kind of light information, I guess you would say. Sometimes those are kind of helpful, right?
Yeah, I don't do a lot of them because to me it's like going down a rabbit trail and I'm not getting anything else done. I like
Yeah,
using
I
the
know. That's the thing with a lot
I
of
like
them.
using the podcasts because I can listen to them as I drive or on a walk. I can listen to them where the webinars, you kind of gotta pay attention.
Yeah, yeah, and Joe Lample is one that I will listen to, like you said, on a walk or driving.
Yeah,
Um, those are helpful because you're doing something else at the same time.
right.
And then the webinar, sometimes I'll just pull up a webinar or a podcast when I'm cooking if I'm not focused on something that I need to
Right.
concentrate on a recipe or something. But I'll just have those on sometimes in the background just to listen to. So, so anything else? The Northwest Horticulture Society, you said?
Yeah.
And are those webinars or what are those?
Yes, those are webinars. Well, there's also things now that you can go to in person up in Seattle. I haven't done
What?
any of those. Um,
Okay.
but they're a webinar.
Okay.
In fact,
Okay.
there's one this coming Saturday, I mean Wednesday, I think it is, that's on horticulture botany and I'm or no. My brain is gone. Um, Understanding what the scientific name means by knowing the Latin. Um,
Yeah.
and I think the guy that's doing it is from no, not far reaches. Up out of Port and Paulsbo, Heronswood. I think he's the guy from Heronswood that's doing it. I'm not positive about that.
Oh,
And I
okay.
have listened to him once before, and he was had good information, I thought.
Yeah. Was that Dan Hinckley or
Who?
He's here.
was that?
No, it's not. No, it's not Dan
Okay.
Hinckley. It's somebody else whose name I
Oh,
can't think of at the moment.
that's okay. You'll remember probably when we're done.
Well, I got an easier way.
That's it's Ross Brighton, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's where he's from.
He's the director of Heronswood Garden, and
Yeah,
he led a very interesting discussion at the state conference on Latin names, Latin
yeah.
botanical names, and how to deconstruct those.
Oh,
Right. That's what I
okay.
was trying to say. Thank you.
They are not always very informative, however.
Right.
The
Yeah.
names.
That's
Some species a species name from something in Florida was Kiss Me Jenny. So in English, Kiss Me Jenny. I can't believe it really got past a panel. But the ones that tell you something, they're very helpful. It's true.
So
however,
Garnet,
I was gonna
oh,
say I'm wrong about who's doing the webinar. It's Scott Zona, Zona, not a name I recognize.
oh, okay.
A Gardener's Guide to Botany is what it's called.
Okay.
So if I
So
get my act
Garnet,
together, I'll sign up for that.
any newsletters that you follow or
No,
okay. Do you get Joe Lample in print? Do you get
uh,
his e-letter?
well, oh yeah, that's right. I do get that.
Okay.
And other than Plant Ident, I do nothing on the Facebook.
there's a lot on Facebook, but so much of it is just, how do you how do you follow it? How do you know what's true?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are searching for answers, and there's just a lot of information that's kind of out in left field, really.
A quote from somebody I was listening to said, that you've got to be really sure where you're getting it because you may just be listening to somebody who never gardens at all, but they love to type,
Yeah.
you know.
So does anybody follow the Native Plant Society? Do any of
I do
any-
on and off, but not on a regular basis. One of my questions I wanted to raise today was, how do you find the time to do these? I understand the listening while driving.
Yeah.
but,
Well,
mainly-
WNPS is the Native Plant Society is mostly reading, I think. Although Val,
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, it's true.
I wanted to also tell you that the mosses they were going to do last Monday was a misprint or it was miscommunicated. So they're doing a Zoom meeting, as I understand it, on mosses in March. So
No, lichens in March, mosses in June.
no, the Native Plant Society.
Oh, the Native Plant Society. Okay, never mind.
But what did you just say, Midge? My lichens in March
Yeah,
for study group.
yeah, for study group. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
But
plants
Native Plant Society is doing something too?
advertised mosses
Oh,
Zoom meeting. It was live, but it was being Zoomed also as their monthly meeting get together. And I had logged in and I wasn't getting signed in or anything. And I got an email saying, oops, this was a miscommunication. We're going to do mosses next month.
oh, okay.
I would like to see that. So
Yeah. Well, and just as a side note for our mosses in June, we have Cindy.
you did get her?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Her
Because she
last name escapes me at the moment, but
for 2022 trainees at Lake Sylvia and Mosses, and it was really, I mean, it's such a complicated topic, and there's so many examples at Lake Sylvia, but she's really, really good.
yeah. So anybody else have any newsletters that they read or follow, or it's usually through email, or any that we could recommend for people besides Joe and besides WNPS, which I think is a subscription, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How about Homegrown National Park?
I subscribe to that too, but they're always asking me for money, so it kind of turns me off. And I haven't really found a whole lot of information with them.
Right.
Nice idea, but I don't think it's very informative.
I think you're right. It's kind of a, join it and yeah,
Contribute,
but he's not really telling us.
not giving us suggestions or regional suggestions or Keystone Plan
Right.
or anything that Doug Callamy talks about.
Right.
So
And one of the problems that I found when I was researching is that there are a lot of blogs and newsletters from different parts of the country, but not so many from this area. I did find one in Salem, and when I tried to sign up for it, it it sent me off into La La Land and said, oops, something went wrong. So, I get newsletters from the Thurston County Conservation, and there's a couple others. Well, what was the one that we signed up for? Pacific Horticulture.
Yes,
But I haven't gotten much from them.
just that your membership is being accepted, and that's the last I heard.
Yeah. So,
You know, you get what you pay for, sort of thing. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. And then I clicked on it and it said join. Well, I joined. So, tell me something I don't know. So I threw this in. Who do you follow and who do you trust? And Kelly, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, is that we're so busy with life and with doing things that who's got the time? I should have put that in there too. Who do you follow? Who do you trust? And who has the time? All of these blogs and newsletters and websites are great, but it keeps you away from doing the real work.
mhm.
So would that kind of sum it up?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You realize, of course, this becomes an overall challenge, right? Because even for our own master gardeners, even for our own e-news, right? How do we ensure that our own membership is reading that, which we know, that
A
they
lot
do,
of them
that a lot of them don't, right? And so
Right.
this is a challenge. And it's something I really hope that we spend some time in this 2024 class, reaching out and asking them these very questions, Midge. So I think this is an important topic to bring up to these young training classes, so that we figure out how to get them engaged, so that they're at least skimming through this material
Right.
to catch the news.
Right. And I hear it from my class, from the last class. There's just so much information that comes at them, and what where do they focus, or what do they focus on? And that's, we all want them to focus on the curriculum, but I think they're right. There is so much coming at them. And if you digress into into plant clinic, there's volumes of information. And I really don't know how Scott and Lou do it to, figure out what's helpful. So,
Well,
anyway.
but on issues like that, of course, you can immediately go to the web, right? And do
Right.
begin a search with WSU or OSU, right? And just
Yeah.
plow into it. And
Yeah.
perhaps that's one of the other issues we're wrestling with here in Southwest Washington, right? Because our climate is so unique, our soils, our conditions are so significant that, it's difficult to it's difficult just to take a generic newsletter, right, and
Mhm.
and know confidently that the information we're getting out there is going to be applicable to us or useful to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mike, in fact, I want to vector on this thing, Mike, for a little bit of difference here, because think about what you're doing in terms of your poultry and your farming, your ag interest out there. I'm curious, all that you've learned and all that you've studied, because I know you spent a lot of time studying everything from beekeeping to, how to raise emus, right? And, and the kind of feeding. And you're raising pheasants now. How much of what you've learned generally has had to be modified based upon your own experience because of where you live, because of where you have your farm?
A lot of it is quite pertinent to what you're saying. and that you've got to be an informed person on whatever it is that you're going to do. And so I read a tremendous amount of information, and I like this, I'm going to use this. I don't like this, I'm not going to use this. So what will work for me isn't going to work for Val and Elba simply because of the weather. So I need a little bit drier, bigger home. I need some more shade for them, wind breaks. And so you take all the information that you can and you pick and choose and dissect from it what is it that's going to work from you. And if it doesn't work, well, you do something different next time. But that's the secret to what I have found is doing a lot of research and picking, and I cherry pick, I guess is the great word to use, cherry pick. What do I think is going to work for me, knowing what I've done? Fortunately, I've raised enough chickens and geese and turkeys and pheasants that I have the experience and that I can read various articles and I can sift through it and go, well, that isn't true. That isn't going to work for me. I'll take away this a little bit. But it's just cherry picking the information that'll work for you. There's so much out there. And I don't know if that was a very good answer for you, but and you got to do your homework. It doesn't matter what it is. You still have to do your homework. And I think, Kelly, that was the big takeaway from session 2. Kelly made this simple statement that was this aha moment for me. And that was in the search bar, you always put WSU first. And then you, whatever it is, WSU manure, WSU worms, whatever it is, OSU plant biology, whatever it is. And that's how you're going to set yourself up for success right out of the get-go, and is going to minimize the sheer volume of material you have to sift through to get the results that you want with credible advice that's been vetted. And that's the key part about it versus, as we all know, or the Reader's Digest version, or Mother Earth News, whatever publication there is, although they do have a lot of good information in it. Because in truth, WSU and OSU, they don't have all the answers. So you still have to do your research and go out and take a look and pick and choose what's going to work for you. Now,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I totally agree with Mike. It was such a eye opener for me to realize I could just plug in WSU and then whatever I wanted to know, and not have to remember what the site is I'm supposed to go to and all that. I would find what I needed. And
Right.
when I'm talking with the public, I'm saying that WSU, OSU, and then whatever you want to know about. And that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent place to start. And I'm glad that that is being taught to the interns too. Just we have to keep emphasizing that when we're talking to them, because it's so easy to get lost in the weeds and like you said, go down a rabbit hole. so I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't find anything. Well, I could find under OSU and WSU kind of local or Northwest information. But as far as, and maybe this is a good thing, independent gardeners or independent people writing information that is specific to the Northwest, it's a little bit rare. And I'm not sure why. But it seems like if you forget to put in OSU or WSU, you get information from East Coast, down South, a lot of Midwest gardeners that have information or blogs, but not a whole lot that's specific to the Northwest. One that I also like to plug into every once in a while is the Monarch Gardens, just to see what's happening with butterflies. And it's more of an informative curiosity, what's happening with prairie gardens or whatever, but not, again, not Northwest specific. So it's just a matter of curiosity more than anything else. They say plant milkweed. Well, what kind of milkweed can we plant out here?
Monarchs don't come this way in their travel plans, so they're generally pollinator attractors.
Yeah, yeah, but they're pretty specific about what they want.
Yes, they
So
are very specific.
yeah, yeah. So these are some of the websites that I think are probably okay for us to use or check on. And I didn't put down WSU or OSU, except for the Southwest Washington landowners. And that's more of a forestry thing. But again, it's of interest because we need to know what's going on with our conifers, the cedars and spruce and that. And I took a couple of classes last year with the forestry that were interesting, aimed more toward the layman, not the people who grow forests for a living. And they explained it in a way that somebody who was a beginner or was just kind of curious about what was happening with our forests would be able to understand. So, and I think Kelly, you may have had the one guy. What's his name? Patrick. Did you have him for a speaker? I can't remember his name now. But a very engaging young man who was talking about forestry.
Actually, I forgot I get that. I think I still get that newsletter. Ken and I actually took that whole course
Uh-huh.
a while back when he had 5 acres of forest and was replanting it. So yeah, a lot of good information.
Yeah.
And it is indeed to the small landowner, not
Patrick Schultz.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he spoke at
Yeah.
our
So, if we've got some interns coming up that are interested in forestry, or like you said, small landowners that have maybe a stand of trees or something, that would be a good direction to point them in. And I think we need to know what's happening with Monarch Gardens, and certainly we need to focus on native plants. So all of these are good, like WNPS and Homegrown National Park, because he does advocate natives. And this Rural Sprout, that's just kind of I read her because she's kind of cute, and she's from Connecticut or someplace, but she throws in things about seed starting, and I kind of gloss over her tomato starts because I can't grow tomatoes to save my soul out here. But she's got some sort of fun ways of addressing her problems with slugs and deer and rabbits and all the things that happen when you live out in the country. So that's another kind of interesting one. So so yeah, I kind of categorized. I was thinking, okay, what do we watch for fun? What's strictly entertaining? What's miscellaneous facts? Who has stunning photos? And they all do. And all of them are pretty talented in that direction these days. So sometimes it's just nice to look at pretty photos, right? So Helen, do you follow any podcasts or blogs or anything?
No, I was coming for the same reason that some of you others are here.
Oh, okay. Did you pick
I
up
wanted
any?
to comment on the monarchs because I know the last time I looked, and I'm finding the same thing here, that monarchs are on the east side, the Cascade Range and the east side of Washington,
Yeah,
but not in our area.
Right.
right.
People get all thrilled because they think they've seen a monarch, but it isn't.
The
Yeah, it's a
viceroy,
swallowtail usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or even, well, others.
Or what?
Butterflies are so confused in lots of people's minds because we don't know how to look at them, I guess.
Yeah.
Clues to look for. But I was going to ask you, do they cover anything besides monarchs on that site? The
They don't.
you're not.
No, it's just monarchs. So I know there are some really there are some websites that are really engaged in butterfly identification and that, but
Well, Xerxes societies, I've in the past have gone into some of their programs, but they're
yeah.
concerned in general with
Well, and that's another publication that I get is from the Xerxes Society, but again, it's a subscription, and they have a lot of information about insects and that, but again, not too Northwest centric.
Right.
So I guess the Mike.
Something that's Northwest centric would be Greg Aronoff through WSU, the Extension Service. He has a publication that he puts out. So it has various webinars on there, how to grow asparagus, successful vegetable gardening for cool weather, and a great turf grass management certificate, excuse me. So you can take a lot of classes and get certifications through that.
Mhm.
And they're also through continuing education that you get. So it's Greg Aronoff Aronoff at WSU Extension. And so you sign up for this newsletter that comes out. And I've found that to have a lot of really good information in it. Another one that I follow is the National Gardening Association. It's a weekly newsletter, and it's got just great photos that are in there. So if you had questions about your plants, you can submit a photo and have a panel of people decipher what it is. But again, the National Gardening Association, no different than the OSU. I take a look at it and I cherry pick and I take a look at it. What is it that's pertinent to me? What do I want to spend time on? But the OSU extension is really good. I like the National Gardening Association is really good. I like Joe Gardner. There's because it's nationally
Joe
syndicated.
Lample. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Joe Gardner is the title. Joe Lample put is Joe Gardner. And I didn't mean to say that was his last name. I apologize. But because he's nationally syndicated, the advertisements are quite wordy. And so there's a lengthy building of the people who are advertising on it. So I've gotten pretty good at here comes the advertisement, down goes the volume, right? And I be patient, and I have to open it back up and see, okay, I'm not done yet. So I have to mute it, for lack of better words, and then get back into it, listen to it. But I'm new to podcasts, so I'm still learning how to navigate through it, but I'm quick to turn it off. Even if I'm on a long drive, it isn't worth my while to listen to a subject that isn't interesting. So if I start listening to it, I don't care for who the speaker is or the subject, whatever, I'm quick to turn it off. And that's what I do for that. But yeah, and I'm not willing to pay for any subscriptions at this point. So that isn't in the cards for me. And again, there's a lot of value in the podcast. There's a lot of value in the webinars, but it's time management. And anything that even if you're retired, even if you got lots of time, it's still time management that's in there.
Mike, would you tell again that first one that you, the ARN something or other? I didn't have a piece, my pen wasn't working.
Yeah, so it's Oregon State University.
So, okay.
Yeah, so it's the Oregon State University, and the guy who puts it on is Greg Aronoff, Aronoff, and he has I think it's monthly that comes out, but it's pertinent to us, the Pacific Northwest. And so I find that one really valuable. Is anybody listening to Aaron Hoover? Is that who puts on? Is that any good? I haven't made time.
Right now, thank you for the entree. So my rain garden podcast is going to drop this week. So I've been going back, and when Midge brought up this topic, she threw out Aaron, or just as a suggestion. Well, for sure, Aaron does a fantastic job. You can get her on the State Foundation website through our pnwmg.org local website. And her podcast is called The Green Thumb. And I have a whole list of what she's done this year. So what I like is she's very easy to talk to. And of course, she was a docent at my rain garden, so she knew as much about rain gardens as I did. But she not only records the session, but she puts it up in print. So if you don't want to take a bunch of time listening, you can just scan through the article. And I am really interested in soil health, and she just had Doug Collins from WSU Extension, who talked about carbon sequestration, which ties right into our climate change priority, and also clean water. And he was very easy to listen to. The problem, I'm spoiled with OSU staff because they speak English for the layman. WSU's talk way over my head when I go to the annual soil conference. So I didn't go this last year. But Doug Collins is really easy to listen to. He gives basics, but he goes in a depth that I can understand from the level of research I've done on soil health. So I'm next with my rain gardens, and it ties right in. If Aaron, in fact, tied it into my rain gardens presentation. So,
Mike may not know that Aaron is a Grays Harbor, Pacific County person. I don't know how she appeared.
Right down
She
the
lives in near Oakville or Rochester.
Well, she married a fellow by the name of Hoover, so she's changed her name now to Aaron Hoover instead of Aaron by whom most of us know her.
Oh,
So that's
What's the last name again?
What?
Hoover. She still maintained her
Hoover?
email address. Yes.
Yar. But her podcast is called The Green Thumb. So if you don't want me to I'll bore you to death by talking about all the things she's presented. And of course, these are broadcast on the State Foundation website. So she's had people from Eastern Washington. She's had a couple general topics about soil microorganisms and this carbon sequestration. But she's also done, let me get to that. She introduces herself in episode 1. And then the next one is how to harvest and store crops for winter. Jennifer Marquis talks about what we do as MGs in the next one, and then how Benton County is empowering incarcerated youth. I found that very interesting. The next one is preparing the garden for winter, then indoor gardening essentials, and then creepy garden critters, and then caring for houseplants, overwintering pollinators, winter issues with trees and shrubs, introduction to permaculture, basic soil biology, which the woman was very precise and very easily understood. And what I don't get into is chemistry very much at all when I talk about soil health. But she even blasted in a little bit of chemistry, and it made perfect sense to me. But the basis of all of this, of course, are the microorganisms. Then she talks about xeriscape gardens. Soil carbon sequestration was the last one that I listened to at length. And then my rain garden is going to drop this week sometime. So, and the other Zoom that I just insist on listening to is OSU's Level Up, which I started when I was in Eugene. And that program came about through COVID when we were all, confined to our houses. But they have staff. Sometimes it's master gardeners who present the information. The last time they did, I can't remember what the topic was, but they had someone in Connecticut. I think it was cool. It was cool season crops. So they had a past master gardener extension person who was in Eastern Oregon, and then they had somebody broadcasting from the Midwest. But the program was it's always really well done. It's always science-based. Oftentimes they have professional staff from OSU preparing these. Gail Angelato, which is one of my favorites, used to be the extension. And she gets and she's also a PhD advisor. So she publishes or puts on these Level Up podcasts or Zoom meetings, her PhD candidates' research. And one of the ones that I live by is what are the 5 best native pollinator attractor plants. And then a couple other grad students came on this year, and that was way back in the beginning. This year, a couple grad students did a similar study of cultivars. So that especially rose my interest because her number one favorite pollinator attractor is Douglas aster. And it is so rhizome bound. I mean, it spreads everywhere. And Cindy, in fact, gave me a housewarming gift of cultivar asters, which stay put in a clump. So, but they still attract. The research concluded that the cultivars in these 5 favorite plants attract the same native bees and the same number of pollinators in general as the natives do. So, and then Jude's response is, well, I'm not going to stop preaching about native plants. Well, I didn't mean it that way, but there's some native plants that are just invasive, which I found with the Douglas aster. So I really appreciate that monthly podcast. And because board meetings bound me down on Tuesday, the broadcast is always at noon on the same day the foundation meetings are. So I said, well, I'm in the house. I might as well make use of my time. So anyway, that's all I have to say. But Erin is a really good interviewer. She gives you an entire list of questions. She asks you what questions you want her to ask. And she has, if you would like to be considered for her podcast, she has a form to fill out on this particular section of the Green Thumb podcast. So I highly recommend it.
So Val, how often does she do these?
Every 2 weeks, she drops a program. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
she's been doing. I know this month, January, she was bogged down with being the main techie person on our event. The way we get our events published protocol. So she and I and Vivian and Chris Kohler worked on that. And then Erin it kind of fell mostly on her because she wanted to put it on the RPNW website, which is where it belongs, because Vivian wanted to have her volunteer calendar have everything on it that's going on in our 2 counties. And this way
Right.
she's going to get that. So I think Erin's almost done with finishing that process up. So it's not like we're sitting around here. I've been in the house way too much, but I've been busy with Master Gardener stuff.
So
So-
what's the name of this one again, and how do we find it? Was this the OSU Level Up?
No, that's on that. You have to register for those Zooms, but go into just Google Oregon State University Extension /Level Up series, and it'll take you to where you can register. But Erin Landon Hoover's podcast is called The Green Thumb, and you can access it on the State Foundation web page. If you Google, well, it's one of the first, they go through people and a couple other things. And hers is right there if you scroll down on the home page of the State Foundation web page.
Okay, thank you.
Huh, interesting. Okay. So is that what this Seeds for Thought is, Kelly?
Uh,
Or is that,
no, that's the main website. So you can get to, that's the,
Oh, okay.
and you'll see, Erin routinely, she's the editor for this, right?
Yeah.
And so you'll see actually resources that she puts in, for that. And that's also a place, as, Val was just mentioning, where to go find
And she puts
the
in a
webinar.
to the
okay.
top.
I was just trying to see, there's got to be a direct link to that.
I'm not good at finding those, so I just go to the main page and scroll down. Which is
Yeah, there's the Evergreen Thumb Master Gardener. I've got this here. Yeah, here it is. It is way, it's way at the bottom. But the,
The Evergreen Thumb?
yeah,
Oh,
if you
the Evergreen Thumb?
click on it
Okay.
in the, you see the link I just put in the thing there? And you can subscribe, right? And get the latest info.
Okay.
Or you can just go in
That's-
the ones you want to watch. So
So this is the, what I'm sharing is the screen. You're seeing the screen You should, if you click on that, the link I just put in there.
And then you can go into new episodes.
Okay.
All the episodes are listed from the newest to the oldest.
Okay. So, and they're podcasts, right? Or,
Well,
yeah.
the first time I went in, I didn't notice that there was a live connection, but that's up now. And she also puts in a printed version. So
Okay.
you don't have to wait around if you want to get to some specific info. You can just scan the printed version.
Okay.
It's word
Okay.
for word of the podcast. So
Uh-huh.
all the ums and hus and all that are in there.
Oh, okay.
Really don't know how it's going to sound like. You know, Erin, there she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
She needs to change her name in the bio here.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she hasn't. She's finally done it on all of our emails.
How long ago did she get married?
You know, I don't know. She brought her husband to our foundation meeting at the in the demo garden at the gazebo this summer, but I don't know how long she's been married to him. I think they've been together for some time. But
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and on this subject too, FYI, Bill Thorness, who wrote a book on cool weather gardening, is going to be one of the speakers at the Home and Garden Show in Elma.
oh,
So,
Great.
yeah,
Bill who?
Bill Thorness, Thorness.
do you know if the fellow that did adaptive gardening, which was such a popular program, if he is going to get out there or out here, I should say?
I have sent him 2 emails already, and I'm about ready to call him because he hasn't responded.
Because
But
that's our most populated study group.
exactly.
For those of you who don't come to our GGH meetings, Midge did a similar presentation to our GGH meeting, and that meeting was packed full. So, and there were tons of questions. It was just a great topic to present because we all are in that kind of age group now.
We're in that range, yeah. And when I went down to the South Bend Demo Garden a couple weeks ago, I had some of my new tools with me. So I had gotten the hand tools, and Renee tried them out, and she loved them. So I think she was going to go home and order some of the hand tools that I had gotten.
Well,
So, and I'm trying to think of ways that we could do an adaptive program at the Home and Garden Show and have people actually try out the tools, but I think I'd have to chain them to a box or something so they don't walk off with them. But it might be, it might be kind of fun. And Terry and I are also trying to think of ways to get more people in to the meeting rooms, either bribing them or, offering cookies or seed
You-
packets or
Door
so.
prizes.
Yeah, door prizes. If you can think of anything, just shoot me a text or an email, and
the only
let
one
me
I
know ways to
standing
get
around.
bodies in there. So,
And
what'd
I'm
you
going
say,
to have
Hal?
to leave. So excuse me. Good talking,
Okay.
good seeing.
All right. Thanks for coming, Helen.
Wish I could stay longer. We're planning Terry Haney's birthday, which is going to be a little tricky because she's bedbound.
Oh,
Anyway.
how's she doing?
I thought you were going. Oh,
Yeah, she's not doing that great.
Oh,
She's
shoot.
got the bed sore and it